On September 10, 2025, in Orem, Utah, a political event turned into a national tragedy. Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, was shot while speaking at Utah Valley University. In front of thousands of attendees, a single bullet forever changed the course of one of America's most prominent conservative figures, and reignited urgent questions about political violence, security, and division in the United States. This is the story of the shooting of Charlie Kirk, what happened, what we know, what remains unclear, and the lasting impact of this event. Before we begin, remember to subscribe to Haunted Syntax for more true crime, mysteries, and deep dive stories into the dark chapters of history. Part 1. Who was Charlie Kirk? Charlie Kirk was born in 1993 and rose to prominence as the founder of Turning Point USA, a conservative youth organization. By his early 20s, he was a fixture in American politics, frequently appearing on television, writing books, and speaking at universities nationwide. Kirk built a reputation as a polarizing figure. To his supporters, he was a fearless advocate for conservative values. To his critics, he represented the sharp edge of U.S. political culture. Regardless of viewpoint, by 2025, Charlie Kirk was one of the most recognizable voices on the American right. Part 2. The setting. Utah Valley University. On September 10, Kirk was scheduled to speak at Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. The event drew a crowd of nearly 3,000 people, including students, faculty, and members of the public. Utah Valley University, like many campuses, had hosted a range of political speakers over the years. The expectation was a lively debate, not a life-threatening attack. Security was present, but no one predicted the violence that was about to unfold. Part 3. The shooting. At approximately 12:20 p.m., as Kirk was addressing the audience, a shot rang out. Witnesses later described confusion, screams, and panic as people dove for cover. Charlie Kirk collapsed on stage, struck in the neck by a bullet. The auditorium was thrown into chaos as security rushed forward. Attendees were ushered out, while medical personnel attempted to stabilize Kirk before rushing him to the hospital. The shooter did not fire again. Within hours, his family would take a decisive step that changed the course of the manhunt. Part 4. Immediate aftermath. The news spread within minutes. Headlines across the country broke into live coverage, reporting that Kirk had been shot during a university event. Social media filled with shock, outrage, and speculation. Authorities confirmed that Kirk was in critical condition. The FBI quickly joined local law enforcement in investigating the incident. Meanwhile, leaders across the political spectrum issued statements condemning the violence. For the nearly 3,000 people who had witnessed the event, the memory was seared forever, a day when an ordinary campus talk became the scene of a national tragedy. Part 5. The suspect. Authorities confirmed that the shooter was a 22-year-old male, who was not captured at the scene but instead surrendered shortly afterward. His parents, aware of what had happened, contacted law enforcement and personally turned him in. The surrender was described as calm and voluntary, with no additional violence. Investigators praised the cooperation of the family, noting that the decision likely prevented further danger and ensured the suspect could be questioned without resistance. As of now, the suspect's name has not been widely released, and the motive remains unclear. Officials have not confirmed whether the attack was politically motivated, personal, or connected to other factors. Part 6. Political reactions. The shooting sparked immediate responses from political leaders across the country. Prominent conservatives expressed grief and outrage, calling the attack not just a crime against Kirk but an assault on free speech itself. President Joe Biden issued a statement condemning political violence, calling for unity and restraint as the investigation unfolds. Figures from both parties echoed the same message, that differences of opinion must never lead to bloodshed. Still, the event deepened tensions in an already polarized political climate. Some voices online sought to use the tragedy for partisan gain, while others urged restraint and respect for the victim. Part 7. Public tributes. As news of the shooting spread, tributes poured in. Supporters gathered at vigils, holding candles and signs. Online, the hashtag Pray for Charlie Kirk trended for days. His wife, Erica Kirk, released a public statement thanking those who had offered support and prayers, while asking for privacy during what she called the most difficult moment of our lives. Plans for a public memorial service began almost immediately, scheduled for September 21, with thousands expected to attend. And if you want to continue following real-world cases and the hidden stories behind them, make sure you're subscribed to Haunted Syntax so you never miss an update. Part 8. The broader context, political violence in America. The shooting of Charlie Kirk joins a troubling history of violence against public figures in the United States. From the assassination of President John F. Kennedy in 1963, to the shooting of Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords in 2011, to the attack on Congressman Steve Scalise in 2017, America has repeatedly seen its political debates spill into bloodshed. Experts warn that increasing polarization, amplified by online platforms, has created an environment where violent rhetoric can inspire real-world attacks. Whether or not Kirk's shooting was politically motivated, the event highlights the vulnerability of public figures in the modern era. Part 9. The investigation continues. With the suspect in custody after being surrendered by his parents, investigators have begun the painstaking process of reconstructing the days, weeks, and months leading up to the shooting. Key questions remain. What motivated the 22-year-old to commit such an act? Did he plan the shooting alone, or were others involved? Were there warning signs his family or friends might have noticed before the violence occurred? And perhaps most hauntingly, was Charlie Kirk targeted specifically because of his politics? Until these questions are answered, the motive behind the shooting remains one of the most pressing mysteries in the case. Part 10. Legacy and impact. Whether one agreed or disagreed with Charlie Kirk's politics, the shooting marks a moment of reckoning. It forces Americans to confront the dangerous reality of violence against political voices. The attack has already sparked discussions about security at public events, the responsibilities of media and political rhetoric, and the cost of polarization. For Kirk's supporters, he will be remembered as a fearless advocate whose voice was silenced in an act of violence. For his critics, even those who opposed his politics, the shooting is a sobering reminder of the fragility of democracy when violence replaces dialogue. Conclusion. On September 10, 2025, a bullet in Orem, Utah, silenced a voice that had shaped the American political conversation for over a decade. Charlie Kirk's shooting shocked a nation, sparked debate, and left a wound that will not heal quickly. The investigation continues. The debates will rage on. But one fact remains clear: violence cannot and must not be the answer to political disagreement. As the United States reflects on this tragedy, the memory of Charlie Kirk, and the questions surrounding his final moments, will remain a defining chapter in the story of America's struggle with division, extremism, and the pursuit of justice. If you found this deep dive valuable, don't forget to subscribe to Haunted Syntax for more investigations into true crime, mysteries, and the darkest corners of history. The shooting of Charlie Kirk.